Charlie. I'm going to get a little more information. Jackie Heinrich is saying that per law enforcement source, shooter was killed by Secret Service counter sniper team. If you have a sniper team that's responding, that is some distance away. Charlie, go ahead, but I may have to interrupt you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything Guy just said. You know, thank God the president appears to be well. I've heard from people in the campaign that he is in good spirits and that he is you know, visiting with doctors as a precaution at this point. I hope, and it's of course an unspeakable tragedy to think of a citizen going to participate in a public.
Well, I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And so I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have engaged in making sure that people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to get if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problems. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, and I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing as anything happened. They learned more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
What do you think, you idiot?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried for his own safety? With the security failing as president?
So it was brief. The comments from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. You heard the question about whether or not he thought it was an assassination attempt. By all accounts, and the witnesses that we have heard from in that field in Butler, Pennsylvania over the past 2 hours, someone, maybe more than one person, had the intent to show up at that rally today and take President Trump and his life off of this earth. That did not happen. And the reason might be in the following video that you're about to see will begin seconds before you can see the president grab his right ear. And then after that, there's a series of pop, pop, pop. We're going to take you back to that moment, Butler, Pennsylvania, 50 miles due north of Pittsburgh. Watch.
Take a look at what happened this way. That's right in the middle.
So dangerous to attend a rally, no? Presidential rally. There's attention now.
Yeah, January 6th was a rally, and it got out of hand.
Who is there? Hold, when you're ready, on you. Ready? Move! Move! Go! All guys here. Get ready. You ready?
The action's right in the center lanes. They're pushing us to the left, and this lane here is merging with us. We're going to be able to see that on TV.
6 6 o'clock, there's the news on the TV.
Yeah, so probably every station is interrupted right now and they're showing it.
They're live now on this.
Big news, you know?
Big news. They're on live. People are running.
I was in a car one time in the 80s. I'm the passenger, like this. And the girl's sitting there talking to me like this. Driver, boom, hits the guy. That's when I got my Bell's palsy, because it shocked my system. She hit the car in front of us. Just stupid. And then my face got all paralyzed because of shock.
There's one car there, all right, the lady driver playing her phone.
They got it about cleaned up a little bit because the fire truck's leaving. This will go real smooth. People, every other one, take their turn. And of course, like this guy here has to cut in and screw things up. People are just idiots. Wait your turn. Slow things up. Every other one, folks. It's not that difficult.
There were 2 scenes in there, and I want to share one of those with you now. There's an iconic photo, including this one, of the president with his fist up in the air, which appears to be the time when he shook the Secret Service off and looked to the crowd and pumped his fist in the air. There's another shot, a low angle, right there, when you see the blood across the right cheekbone and the American flag against a brilliant blue background sky in Pennsylvania today. There was a third moment we saw, Shannon, the video of him getting in that SUV, and before the door shuts, he pumps his fist in the air one final time. You heard him say, and this was his voice now, "Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes." It happened at least twice, maybe 3 times. The president is likely alive at this moment by mere centimeters of a bullet that apparently grazed his right ear on that stage about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, and as you said, that is going to be a picture for the history books, essentially, as we watch this unfold live on television, and then the fallout as we hear from people across the political spectrum, including President Biden, who said he hopes to speak, he said, with Donald tonight. Bill, as you posited earlier, it's very possible we hear from President Trump tonight. I think they've got to be considering that and letting folks know that he is good, at least by all reports, in good spirits, that he is fine and safe. That's what we've heard from Secret Service and from his campaign as well. I would imagine he will be anxious, even if it's something on social media or elsewhere, to put out a message and let people know how he is doing. Just days away from coming here to the convention where, frankly, you know, security is always exceptionally tight. I can only imagine that the city will be even on tighter lockdown if that is possible. There is a march planned here in Milwaukee protesting the Republican Party, President Trump. They battled back and forth to get permission and to get the permits and the things that they needed here in Milwaukee to get done. That, we understand, is still planned for Monday, but it will be very interesting to see how this and the convention in Chicago and other political events, how things change after something so shocking and what appears to be an attempt, as you said, to take out a former president on this day as he rallied in Pennsylvania.
Obviously, see on the screen is being investigated as an assassination attempt. President Joe Biden said during his statement that he may come out again tonight, if appropriate, with the suggestion, so we'll wait on that. Butler, Pennsylvania is a town of about 13,000. Butler, Pennsylvania as a county is about population 200,000. This is north of Pittsburgh. It's considered rural. This really has become the backbone of Donald Trump's political career. Rural America has hitched their wagon to his movement. And it all started in November of 2016. It got stronger on the election of 2020. And this is the reason why, running a campaign, trying to take back the White House, the president would go to a place like Butler, Pennsylvania today before tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, and knowing what a prize it is, the vice president was there today in the Philadelphia area. The first lady was there in Pittsburgh today. It is a prize, part of that blue wall that the Biden team has talked about they need to win, and that the Trump team thinks they may be able to pick off this time around. Meantime, on the political front, as we talked about moments ago, the Biden team taking down all outgoing political advertising, commercials, essentially a pause on what we are looking at in the middle of a very heated campaign season. I believe that we have Congressman Steve Scalise with us, who is a survivor of political violence. And Congressman, Bill and I were working together the morning you were shot. And thank God every day that you have recovered. But I got to ask you how this sat with you today, watching this play out.
Well, it was difficult to watch. You know, it brings back a lot of emotions. You know, my first thoughts were to pray for President Trump. You know, early reports, you really weren't sure what happened. You saw blood coming from his ear, but you know, as we see now, I mean, it was a clear assassination attempt. I think there was maybe some divine intervention in preventing that from being much worse than it could have been. There were other deaths. We pray for all of those that were injured or killed innocently. You know, the shooter was down, and you know that you saw law enforcement take swift action, and we saw that too on the ball field. Law enforcement is the first to go run towards the danger. They did it today. They did it on the ball field, and that's one of the things that keeps more people safe when evil people show up to do things like this. And there's no place for it. There's just no place for violence in our politics in America, and we can never accept it. We all need to forcefully denounce it.
A statement from the FBI a moment ago, sir. FBI personnel are on the scene in Butler, Pennsylvania. The FBI will continue to work jointly with the U.S. Secret Service as the investigation moves forward. Speaking of that investigation, Congressman, we're a long way from truly understanding what happened here. We're a long way from understanding whether there was one person or more than one person who showed up at that rally today. And I think about that day that you were laying on that softball field, in the baseball field rather, in Washington, D.C. with your colleagues. And a gentleman had driven from several states away, I believe it was Illinois, if my memory serves correctly, and he had a trunk load of weaponry. And he'd laid in wait for you and other colleagues to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I believe that the shots hit you around 7:14 a.m. I think Rand Paul was at bat, I do believe, taking batting practice. And Brad Wenstrup, a Republican colleague of yours who did time in Iraq, he's a doctor by way of he's an expert in podiatry, and he was the one who attached the tourniquet to your body and likely saved your life. And I imagine there's a day that doesn't go by that you don't think exactly of that.
Oh, look, Brad is a hero of mine. Brad, if he would have left early like he does some practices to go to his office, he had a meeting that that got canceled, so he stayed later than he normally would have. Otherwise, I might not be here right now. The heroism of David Bailey and Crystal Griner, the two Capitol police officers who were there that day, who risked their lives, both of them, both were hit during the shootout, and they kept going at it again. Risked their life to protect mine and everyone else's. I mean, the shooter's intent was to take out every Republican on that ball field. There would have been over a dozen members of Congress killed that day. But God was there too. There were miracles that happened that day, and a lot of prayer, a lot of miracles. And I know there are prayers going out right now to Donald Trump. And look, just remember, that night Donald Trump came to the hospital to check on me and just to console my family. And that was his birthday. He left a birthday party to come and check on me, and just the kind of person he is. I texted him a little while ago because he's a special man. He's a strong man. I know that. But he's a caring person. He cares about people. He cares about this country. And, I know there are a lot of prayers going out to him right now, as well as to the families of those who were also injured and killed.
Just one more question to you, sir. And thank you for being with us here. The baseball game was played among Democrats and Republicans. And as I recall, that was a moment of bipartisanship that Americans rarely see.
Talk time.